I chose to do the Raise Responsibility Model by Dr. Marvin Marshall. The website's linked here. The model summary, this model is meant to teach responsibility in students, and the benefits of that is when you go towards the old methods of obedience or trying to make students comply or forcing them to comply, I guess, and threatening them with punishments, and it has shown time and time that it doesn't work, and science has backed not only this model but many other new models that don't stray towards obedience and threats. I put a link here of kind of Dr. Marvin Marshall. He kind of explains it as well. The model's effective because it teaches authority, not coercion. And coercion, I put the definition here, it's the practice of persuading someone to do something by using force or threats. Just like I said earlier in the last slide, that students don't need to be threatened because there's a lot of negative effects, and I'll go over those. Using this model, students will earn respect for themselves, and behavior is managed and improved by doing the right thing because it is the right thing to do. And that goes along with learning responsibility and self-reflection, I guess. The benefits, there's independence in the child and the student, the relationship status with the teacher and the student. You don't have to send threats to the student or threaten them with, if you don't do this, then you have recess taken away for 2 weeks, because it will deteriorate the relationship that the teacher has with the student, which obviously as teachers, one of the main reasons we teach is just relationships. And it promotes desire for responsible behavior. That's pretty much the main point of this model, because when the student's responsible and kind of has that internal drive, it creates more want or more desire to learn, and also just be a good person, not only to the teacher but to his classmates. That'll reflect on his classmates, and the classmates will see that reflection, and the domino effect. They learn self-reflection, which is important for all of life, and some other things. The levels of development, there's 4 levels, and I'll also mention there's 3 phases. And the levels of development are anarchy, which is total non-compliance, bullying, which is bullying other students verbally, non-verbally, physically, C, which is cooperation and conformity, and C and D are the levels that you want to achieve, and A and B are the levels that are showing misbehavior. D is democracy, and that's kind of respecting your student or respecting your fellow students and just kind of being a good student all around, really. And this model is really good too because it's really simple. Obviously, from this picture, you can tell that this is one of many pictures that he has listed on his website, actually, so there's many different ways that you can teach it, and it won't take a long time to teach either, and it won't take a long time for the students to understand, really, no matter what age that they are. This is a quote from Dr. Marshall. He said, you can control someone else, but you cannot change anyone but yourself. And I thought that was really cool. Like I said earlier, traditional methods, expecting obedience from students or threats, is old school. We don't do it anymore because it doesn't work. And it's just negative in a lot of ways. And I found a research study that backs this method. I guess not the method itself, but the aspects that the method portrays, like self-reflecting in students. That's my puppy. But yeah, self-reflecting in students is shown to increase their grades, increase their behavior, their positive behavior, and really just make them overall a more confident and better person and student. Self-reflection induces change, positive change, and there's no negative punishment, so you can maintain your relationship with the student. Your, I guess us, the teachers, have no role in disciplining. So when this model, you don't really discipline, you just teach them self-reflecting, you ask them questions, and they kind of reflect on themselves and make their own solutions. And also you should approve this solution. It's not really anything that you have to force them to do, or it's really a lot on them, which is pretty cool. And it's one reason why I chose to do this. I heard this quote in a podcast that the most powerful form of knowledge is self-reflection without judgment. So that means that you can look back at what you're doing or what you've done and not judge yourself negatively or positively, really. You just look forward from that and change your behavior to be the person that you want to be. And like I said earlier, it's really simple to understand for any age. And you want to elicit rather than impose. Impose is like to threaten or give threats to students for bad behavior. And eliciting a procedure or something to improve the behavior means that you're letting the student either choose the procedure or giving them a procedure to improve the behavior, which is so much better than imposing and threatening them with things. Not every student is going to self-reflect and learn the first time. Another benefit of this model is phase 3, which is guided choices. And when students don't comply, or I guess not even comply, but improve their behavior from phase 2, then there's kind of like a backup plan. And that is used for when students don't get phase 2, which is really good because even phase 3 is no negative punishments, I guess. You don't have to impose on them. When you elicit the procedure, it prompts the student to reflect on themselves, and that makes them more mature, gains their reflection skills. Their self-authority improves. It's continuously effective because when the student learns all of these, they're going to continue the good behavior and really just make them a better student overall. And it's continuous because it really improves their behavior in every aspect. And it allows the student to choose the corrective action, which is important because it gives them power and makes them feel like they should choose the right thing just because it is the right thing to do. So one of the situations that I came up with was a student in your classroom is having troubles paying attention and his grades are reflecting his troubles. You observe him distracting his friends as well as bullying another student. You have recently spent a unit teaching on the RSR discipline model and feel prepared to handle it. And as you make the student aware of this behavior, you give him a day to reflect and come up with a solution. The next day, he comes up with a solution, and he says he should move to the front of the classroom, and the teacher thinks that's a good idea. And the student also says that his mother's concerned about his grades, and he wants to make her proud, which is good because that means Molly's going crazy at the bike riders. It means that your teachings of his self-reflecting and confidence have really paid off if he's wanting to make his mom proud. And as you should, as phase 3 says, you should respect their solutions and let him try their solution if it's reasonable. After a few days, he improves his attention and social disruptions, but continues to bully. So in phase 3, you used to ask the child, one of the procedures is, what do you suggest we do about it? And this allows them to reflect, and they know the behavior is wrong, so they're going to find another solution. And student says that they don't really know. You make sure that he knows what levels he's not complying with and what levels he is complying with. And you elicit a procedure for the student to halt his bullying behavior. So pretty much the procedure I came up with was every time, first of all, not to talk to the student that he's bullying, just don't talk to him. And when he wants to bully him, then to put his mean words, write them down on a paper, and then throw the paper away in the trash. And in this situation, the procedure halts his negative behavior and further grows the student's responsibility. So I couldn't really find any cons to this because it's a pretty good model when you lay it out. And I'm sure different models are good for different students, but this one was pretty good overall. And the pros for a teacher's point of view is the behavior is going to be corrected, the knowledge overall will be learned, and that's knowledge in like self-reflecting, confidence, responsibility. Relationship is maintained with the student, which is the main part that I like about this, and grades are improved. The student's point of view, the relationship with teacher is maintained, which is what the student wants too, I'm sure. I assume most students want to be friends with their teachers. Their grades will improve, his life skills will improve, just overall become a better person, he's more mature. He'll make proactive choices because of this confidence that's instilled in him, and the bullied students will be saved from being bullied, which is also very important. Parents' point of view is the child is going to be more mature. The at-home behavior is going to be much better because of everything that the student will be improving on. Their responsibility will rise. Their bond with their child will also become closer because the child will be becoming more mature and learning all of these things, and it's going to reflect in his home life. The parent can reward the child, which is great, and kind of take part in the process, which will even help further reinforce all of the positive aspects of it. And if they have siblings, that's going to be a great example to the siblings and the aspects that he's going to be really mature, confident with what they do, the student, and reflect all of those positive behaviors on the siblings. And that is all I have for the Raising Responsibility model. Thank you.